Hello! No one denies Napoleon's genius, so we won't focus on him today. This video is about his right-hand men, the ones who kept it all together, the field commanders, the future royals, the traitors, and the heroes of the empire. The military minds France deserves to be known for. I'll be ranking them by wow factor, competence, and significance, and to be honest, they all had plenty of each. Starting off with
Auguste de Marmont.
Marmont was born in 1774 and served under Napoleon from the early days in Italy and Egypt. He was a competent and loyal general for most of his career and was made a Marshal of the Empire in 1809. However, he is best known for his role in the collapse of the Empire in 1814. As commander of the Army of Paris, he negotiated the city's surrender to the Allies without Napoleon's approval. Yikes. This effectively ended the war and allowed for the Bourbon Restoration. For this, he was branded a traitor by Bonapartists, and his name became synonymous with betrayal in France. There's actually a verb named after him, marmontiser. After the 100 Days, Marmont served the Bourbons and became a royalist hardliner, further alienating former comrades. He passed away in exile in 1852. While he had ability, his legacy was permanently stained by how and when he abandoned Napoleon.
Emmanuel de Grouchy.
Born in 1766, Grouchy was promoted to Marshal in 1815, right at the end during the 100 Days, when Napoleon sailed back from Elba to France. He commanded a wing of the army at Waterloo and was tasked with pursuing the Prussians, allegedly, or according to him. It'll make sense, trust me. His failure to rejoin Napoleon at the decisive moment is one of the most controversial episodes in Napoleonic history. While some blame him for the defeat, others point to Napoleon's vague orders. Now, my dear Ratic, I hear you say, if Napoleon gave such vague orders, how was he so successful for a full 20 years of campaigning against the world's superpowers? Well, my dear viewer, wait until my Berthier entry and it will all click, I promise. After 1815, Grouchy went into exile, returning during the July Monarchy. He spent the rest of his life defending his actions, and today, Grouchy's legacy is largely defined by a single missed day.
Laurent de Gouvion Saint-Cyr.
Crazy name. Anyway. Saint-Cyr was born in 1764 and began his career as an artist before turning to the army during the Revolution. He was quiet and uncomfortable with the political games of Napoleon's court, but he was an extremely capable commander, particularly in Germany and Spain. He distinguished himself at the Battle of Stockach and during the Russian campaign. He was made Marshal of France in 1812, relatively late compared to others, might I add, mostly due to his independence and political caution, something Napoleon found lame. After the Empire, he served as Minister of War under the Restoration government and helped reform the military. Saint-Cyr was a rare case of a talented commander who avoided court intrigue and survived politically after Napoleon. He passed away in 1830, having authored military treatises and memoirs that gave historians a more detached look at the inner workings of the Grande Armée. Nice.
Louis-Gabriel Suchet.
Suchet was born in 1770 and earned his Marshal's baton in 1811, one of the few to do so solely through merit in Spain. He succeeded where most failed, stabilizing Aragon and Valencia through a mix of military control and political reform, which I do need to stress just how impressive this is. The Iberian campaign was a long and terrible affair that was met with setback after setback, so his success is really noteworthy. His conduct in Spain was so competent that even Wellington respected him. This is a big deal, by the way. After Napoleon's fall, Suchet kept a low profile. He passed away in 1826. Not dramatic, but in terms of effectiveness, one of the most underrated figures of the era, to me at least.
Nicolas Oudinot.
Born in 1767, Oudinot was an officer who led from the front, and had the scars to prove it. Shot at and wounded over 30 times, yes, 3-0, he became a living emblem of personal bravery. His troops loved him, Napoleon respected his grit, and even his enemies admired his resilience. He was made Marshal in 1809, after Wagram, where he held the line with characteristic stubbornness. But Oudinot wasn't built for high command. His later campaigns in Germany exposed his limits as a strategist. Still, he never wavered or schemed, despite the temptation. After the Empire, he faded into quieter political roles and remained a respected veteran of the old guard. He may not have shaped grand strategy, but on any given battlefield, Oudinot was a name men would follow, and follow proudly.
Étienne Jacques Joseph Alexandre MacDonald.
MacDonald was born in 1765. He was of Scottish Jacobite descent and had a long military career before Napoleon. He was made Marshal after his forced March attack at Wagram in 1809, which helped secure the French victory. A political outsider early on, MacDonald was notable for refusing to participate in Napoleon's 1799 coup, earning long-term distrust. Nonetheless, he remained loyal and capable, and he later served under the Bourbons and passed away in 1840. An able but cautious figure, respected more for his steady personal code than brilliance.
Louis-Alexandre Berthier.
Pay close attention here. Berthier was born in 1753 into a military family and was already an experienced officer before the Revolution. He became Napoleon's chief of staff and served as the operational brain of the Grande Armée. Though not a frontline commander, Berthier was essential to Napoleon's success. He organized logistics, troop movements, maps, orders, and communications. His ability to translate Napoleon's rapid ideas into coordinated plans was unmatched. Berthier followed Napoleon throughout most of his career and was made Prince of Neuchâtel and Prince of Wagram. Despite his competence, he lacked independent judgment and was completely dependent on Napoleon's leadership. After Napoleon's first abdication, Berthier reluctantly accepted the restored Bourbon regime, and when Napoleon returned during the 100 Days, Berthier refused to join him. Second yikes. But I mean, can you blame him? He passed away shortly afterward in mysterious circumstances. By that I mean he fell from a window in Bamberg, possibly willingly or not. His loss was deeply felt. Without him, Napoleon's 1815 campaign was noticeably less organized, which led to, well, 1815.
Joachim Murat.
Murat was born in 1767, the son of an innkeeper, and began his career in the cavalry. He rose through the ranks during the Revolution and became one of Napoleon's most flamboyant and fearless commanders. Known for his lavish uniforms and love of spectacle, Murat was nonetheless a brilliant cavalry leader. He played decisive roles at Marengo, where, legend has it, Napoleon saw some grenadiers rubbing a crust of bread with onions, after which he allegedly proclaimed, "There's nothing better for marching briskly on the road to victory," referring to onions. Check out the Onion song, unironically a great marching tune. He also served at Eylau, and in the famed pursuit after Jena Auerstedt, Napoleon made him Grand Duke of Berg and later King of Naples. Pretty neat. As a royal, Murat tried to balance his loyalty to Napoleon with preserving his own throne, and in 1814, he defected to the Allies. Third yikes. Yes, this is going to be a recurring theme. He later attempted to retake Naples during the 100 Days, but failed. Captured by Bourbon forces, he was executed by firing squad in 1815. His final words were reportedly, "Soldiers, do your duty. Straight to the heart, but spare the face." Very French, very cool. Murat remains one of the most colorful and contradictory figures of the era, equal parts war hero and self-promoting showman.
André Masséna.
Masséna was born in Nice in 1758 and had a long military career that began before the Revolution. He served with distinction in the Italian campaigns and was known for his tenacity and resourcefulness, particularly at the Siege of Genoa in 1800, where he held out under horrific conditions and essentially saved France from collapse in Italy, a vital front of the war. He later fought at Austerlitz and Wagram, and Napoleon once called him the dear child of victory, though their relationship deteriorated later. I'm seeing a pattern here. Masséna had a reputation for greed and personal ambition, and his performance sadly declined with age. His 1810 campaign in Portugal during the Peninsular War was a complete failure to say the least. Nonetheless, he was instrumental to many of Napoleon's earlier victories, and remained one of the few marshals who had proven themselves under both the Republic and the Empire. He passed away in 1817 after retiring from public life. By the way, I won't be talking about the following. Maybe another time. Sorry.
Jean-de-Dieu Soult.
Again, crazy name. Born in 1769, Soult served under nearly every major Napoleonic campaign and was made a Marshal of the Empire in 1804. He distinguished himself at Austerlitz and commanded in the Peninsular War, where his administrative skills were often stronger than his field tactics. He later became a loyal political servant of the Bourbons, serving as Minister of War multiple times, and even briefly as Prime Minister. Napoleon once called him a better administrator than general, and he was one of the few marshals to remain influential well into the 1830s. His legacy is mixed. He was effective, durable, and pragmatic, blah blah blah, but rarely brilliant in the field. His high ranking is mainly because of how long he was active. Really impressive. By my count, at least 6 regimes.
Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte. Charles le 14 Jean.
I can already smell the comments and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. But don't leave the video and please let me explain. Bernadotte was born in 1763 in Pau and rose through the ranks during the Revolutionary Wars, eventually becoming a marshal and Napoleon's brother-in-law through marriage ties, a detail that has immense consequences. He was politically ambitious and had a strong independent streak, which often clashed with Napoleon's centralizing style. Despite serving in many key campaigns, Bernadotte's military record was uneven. However, in 1810, the Swedish royal family invited him to become heir to the throne. Yeah, that happened, I know, weird. Napoleon allowed it, possibly hoping to control Sweden through him, but no. Instead, Bernadotte became King Charles XIV John of Sweden, allied with Napoleon's enemies during the later stages of the Napoleonic Wars, fourth yikes, I told you this would be recurrent, and fought against France at Leipzig. He ruled Sweden for over 2 decades and founded the still reigning royal house. No, that's true, look it up. Bernadotte's legacy is unique. A marshal of Napoleon who became a monarch and outlasted nearly everyone else in the story, arguably by centuries. So this ranking isn't because I like him, it's more of a legacy thing. The next few entries will be more likable, I promise.
Henri Bertrand.
Bertrand was not a marshal, let me get that out of the way, but served as Napoleon's loyal aide-de-camp and engineer-general. He accompanied Napoleon to both Elba and St. Helena, of his own free will, might I add, serving as a key figure in exile. Known for his personal loyalty and discretion, Bertrand helped to record Napoleon's thoughts in his final years. He lived until 1844, a quiet figure, but emblematic of unwavering personal loyalty in a time of shifting allegiances. Someone who couldn't be bought, a man who dedicated himself to Napoleon, equally tragic and inspiring.
Jean-Baptiste Bessières.
Bessières was born in 1768 and came from modest origins in southwestern France. He rose through the ranks during the Revolutionary Wars and became one of Napoleon's most trusted commanders. As head of the Imperial Guard cavalry, Bessières was known for his discipline and calm under pressure. He fought at Marengo, that place with the onions, Austerlitz, and Wagram, always near Napoleon's side. While not a brilliant independent strategist, he was a highly dependable lieutenant, someone Napoleon knew wouldn't break formation or go rogue, which is saying a lot considering all the other marshals. The man would listen. In 1813, just days before the Battle of Leipzig, Bessières was hit by a cannonball while on a scouting mission. His passing hit Napoleon hard. It was a rare moment of visible grief, and for good reason. Bessières had never betrayed him, and he never faltered, on a personal level at least. He was in many ways the quiet counterpart to Michel Ney, professional and steady to the end, which if you know anything about Napoleon, you would realize just how much he would have liked Bessières. The man was consistent.
Jean Lannes.
Okay, this one's a good one. Lannes was born in 1769 to a small-town merchant and rose rapidly through the Revolutionary War thanks to his bravery and aggression. He became one of Napoleon's closest friends and most reliable battlefield commanders. Lannes played key roles at Montebello, Marengo, Austerlitz, and Friedland. He was fearless in combat, often leading from the front, and his corps were known for their speed and, again, aggression. Despite his rough and lower-class background, like Murat, he had a keen strategic mind and was valued for his honesty with Napoleon. Lannes was one of the few who could speak bluntly to him without consequence. So Napoleon did have a friend after all. I knew there was some softness under all that cold brooding. Oh wait, spoke too soon. During the 1809 campaign against Austria, he was mortally wounded at the Battle of Aspern-Essling by a cannonball that shattered both his legs. Man, this ranking is starting to get really sad. His passing devastated Napoleon, who reportedly wept at his bedside. Lannes represented the ideal of the self-made marshal. Brave, talented, loyal, personal, worthy, and not afraid to criticize power.
Michel Ney.
Michel Ney was born in 1769 to a modest family in Saint-Louis and worked his way up through the ranks, serving with distinction in the Revolutionary Wars. Nicknamed the bravest of the brave, which, let's be honest, hard nickname to top, Ney was charismatic and deeply admired by the men who served under him. He commanded cavalry at several major battles, included Jena and Friedland. Also, during the retreat from Moscow, Ney led the rear guard, which if you know anything about the Russian campaign, you'll know the rear guard was hell. Pure hell. He was one of the last men to cross the Berezina River, earning near legendary status. Though a fierce fighter, Ney lacked Davout's discipline and often acted rashly. He initially supported the Bourbon Restoration, but when Napoleon returned from exile in 1815, Ney promised to arrest him, then famously joined Napoleon instead. Wow. At Waterloo, his cavalry charges were a key moment in the battle, but poorly timed and unsupported. Berthier. After Napoleon's second fall, Ney was arrested, tried for treason, and executed by firing squad. His last reported words were, "Soldiers, Fire, his final order. His life remains one of the most dramatic arcs of the Napoleonic era, and rightly so.
Louis-Nicolas Davout.
I doubt this entry is controversial to anyone. Born in 1770, Davout was one of Napoleon's most capable and disciplined marshals. He never lost a battle. Trained at the École Militaire, Davout had a keen, learned, and mathematical mind. He came from minor nobility and served early in the Revolutionary Wars. Napoleon recognized his organizational skill and battlefield competence early on. At Auerstedt in 1806, Davout's corps of 27,000 men defeated the main Prussian army, nearly twice their number, shattering the Prussian myth. A feat that earned him the title of Duke of Auerstedt. Known for strict discipline and cold demeanor, he was disliked by many fellow marshals, but trusted completely by Napoleon, who often assigned him critical independent commands, a very rare action for Napoleon. During the Russian campaign, he commanded the First Corps and managed to maintain cohesion longer than most. This level-headed, pragmatic, and methodical approach to the horror that was the retreat from Moscow, in the long run, saved thousands of his men. After Napoleon's abdication, Davout briefly served under the Bourbons, but rejoined Napoleon during the 100 Days. He was made Minister of War and organized the defense of Paris. And after all was lost, he wanted to continue fighting? Oh, okay. His pragmatism kicked in, however, and he later surrendered and retired. He passed away in 1823, 2 years after Napoleon. Davout was respected, he was feared, loved, and, in terms of raw ability, arguably the finest field commander in the entire Imperial Army, and to some, the best field commander that had ever lived. Okay, done. This is France's 3rd century crisis, but with dozens of Aurelians, in a way. And no, I didn't jump on the French bashing trend, I actually like history, sorry. Big thanks to everyone for all the kind comments and support lately. Replying to everyone's been the best part. If you want to see more content like this, like, subscribe, comment, support the channel in any way you deem fit, wink wink. But just watching and letting me nerd out already means a lot, thanks. This topic was a suggestion from one of the comments on my Diadochi video, check it out. So type away. Got ideas for future topics? No? Fine. Bye.